Lightning Shadow. Prologue. A day before the race, Cactus woke up to the sound of the ship creaking and the feeling of bobbing up and down. Ocotillo was sleeping soundly next to him, swishing his tail every so often. They managed to find a spare room on the ship, and they took the time to rest up for the mission. Cactus tapped Ocotillo gently with one talon, whispering, "Ocotillo, get up. We're here." Ocotillo stirred his eyes in his sleep, and opened his eyes. He slowly got up to his talons and stretched, spreading out his wings as he did so. "Yeah, I think I'm awake," he said, shaking his head. "Well, I think we're here. I need to ask Beta if we're here or not," Cactus said, opening the door to the spare room and heading out on the deck. He saw Beta, the sea silk hybrid, still steering the ship. How on earth has he not fallen asleep yet? Cactus thought. He then looked closely at Beta's eyes, which had glowing teardrops at the corner of each eye. "Oh, I'm an idiot. He's part Nightwing too?" Cactus thought, flying over to Beta. "How far are we from the coast?" He asked, looking out at the coast. "Not far, but we have to get to the ship to land first," Beta responded. Cactus heard a yawn, and he turned his head towards the deck. Ocotillo was standing on the deck, opening his jaws in another huge yawn. "Are we there yet?" he muttered, rubbing his eyes. "We're almost there, kid," Beta responded. "What do you mean, almost there?" Ocotillo stopped when he saw the outline of the shore of the Sky Kingdom. "Oh my moons, Cactus, we're almost there, I can't wait," he said, doing a little spin on the deck. Cactus flew towards Ocotillo and glared at Ocotillo. "Get your head out of the clouds, Ocotillo. I don't want you acting like that one mission." Cactus growled. "Oh, for moon's sake, let him have a little fun. Life's short, you know." Beta chuckled in the background. Cactus was silent for a moment. Then he said, "If Ocotillo wants to prove himself, he needs to be mature. There's no time for being silly during a mission." "I can be serious, super serious. Just watch me," Ocotillo chimed in, changing his smile into a neutral line across his face. "That's good. Stay like that during the mission." Ocotillo nodded, not saying a thing. When the ship landed on the beach, Cactus and Ocotillo flew down and onto the sand. There's the sand," Cactus thought, feeling it underneath his talons. "Good luck on whatever you're doing," Beta said. "Thanks," Cactus responded. "Anytime. Now, if you excuse me, I've got to go to Pantalo to drop off some stuff at from Scorpion Island," Beta said with that. The two sandwings flew off. Cactus kept his head on a swivel, looking around for any sandwings in the air or on the ground. Ocotillo was watching him curiously, like he was watching a butterfly. "What are you doing?" he asked innocently. Cactus turned his gaze towards Ocotillo as they soared over the mountain. I'm keeping my eyes peeled for the jackals. Have you seen any sign of them? He asked. Ocotillo shook his head. Nope, haven't seen any. Keep looking then. They could be anywhere, Cactus replied, as the two Sandwings continued flying through the Sky Kingdom. Cactus's mind started to whirl. Why on earth would a bunch of Sandwings be in the Sky Kingdom? Why there, out of all the kingdoms? Cactus thought, trying to piece puzzles together. Because the Sandwings were allies with the Skywings during the war? Or suddenly Ocotillo grabbed Cactus by his arm and dove down, causing the light-tanned Sandwing to let out a startled squawk before they landed. What was that for? Cactus asked before getting silenced by Ocotillo, who didn't look at Cactus. Instead, he was focused on something. Cactus follows his son's gaze, and to his horror, two Sandwings were looking up at the sky. One of the Sandwings were a bit bulkier, and they had a mudwing-like snout. One of them is part mudwing. What in the three moons was that? The other Sandwing asked. She was yellow with a pink underbelly, her green eyes glaring up in the sky. If we were up in the sky longer, we'll be caught for sure, Cactus thought, giving Ocotillo a thank you expression. It's probably just a falcon, Aloe. Now, let's take this Icewing to the cave, shall we? The sand-mud hybrid said, pulling at some chains which were attached to a familiar Icewing. She was pure white with a few lilac speckles on her back. Cactus's stomach dropped when he saw her struggle against the chains attached to her neck and muzzle. Ermin? Cactus's mind screamed. His claws flexed on the ground, his eyes filled with rage. They silently followed the two Sandwings. Cactus's gaze fixated on the mudwings. By the time they reached the cave in the mountainside, the two Sandwings already went into it, the struggling Icewing following close behind. Cactus and Ocotillo watched silently as they vanished into the cave. Cactus nodded at Ocotillo before following the close behind. When they entered the cave, it was pitch black, and they couldn't see a thing. That's good for us, because those Sandwings couldn't see us, Cactus thought, spreading his wings to feel the walls of the cave. When he couldn't feel the wall with his left wing, he turned left, silently following the group. Is this a secret underground cave? How did they find this without the Skywing Guard spotting them? Cactus asked himself. They might have used Aloe to help them out, but how would Aloe be able to get them into the Skywing's territory without them being spotted? His eyes suddenly widened as he thought of an idea. Animus magic! She must have used Animus magic to help them sneak into the Sky Kingdom without anyone spotting her. The sound of chatter could be heard from the tunnel. Cactus felt his wings spread open as the cave got bigger, and he couldn't help but notice another hole next to the expanding tunnel. He beckoned for Ocotillo by tapping on his shoulder and allowing him to grab his tail before flying into the tunnel. As he crouched in the tunnel, he heard a loud thud and a laugh from Aloe as they threw Ermin into the ground. Well, Ermin, I'm excited to finally see you again. The Mudwing, like Sandwing, let out a laugh, which was full of amusement. The sound of chains clanking told Cactus that they removed Ermin's chains. He heard Ermin let out a low, guttural growl. How in the great ice dragon did you find me, Komodo? She asked, and her voice sounded like ice cracking. Komodo let out another laugh before continuing. Well, I was walking when I saw some ice breaths at the meadow. I was confused because we couldn't be that far up, but then I saw a tail disappear, and here you are, right in my talons. Which won't be for much longer. I'll find a way to break out. Trust me. Ermin retorted. And Cactus heard a hiss of pain from the Sandwing. 3 moons. Ermin is even more courageous than I am, Cactus thought. What's happening? Ocotillo whispered silently as he could. I think Ermin attacked Komodo. That's the new leader of the jackals, I think. Cactus replied. Silently, he saw Ocotillo mouth wow before flickering an ear towards the conversation. Well, we'll make sure you can't. Aloe here will figure out how to make sure you can't escape. Right, Aloe? Aloe nodded. Right. Come along now, Ermin. She grumbled. Cactus's heart sank as he heard his friend's talon steps fade. Then a second later, he heard a loud roar of pain. Cactus looked at Ocotillo and said, "Come on, let's help our friend out," and dashed into the cave. The cave had prison cells that were both on the side of the walls. The pink and yellow Sandwing they've seen earlier was clawing at their face, which had some frost on it. You're gonna pay for that, the mud-sand hybrid growled, raising his talons at the beginning of a killing blow. Cactus let out a hissing noise, feeling something burning in his throat. A burst of flame came out of his mouth, hitting the dragon square in the eyes. Meanwhile, Ocotillo was lashing out with his claws at Aloe, trying to get her to let go of Ermin. Aloe bit into Ocotillo's neck and flung him to the ground, and Cactus heard a loud thud as he whipped his deadly tail around, hitting Komodo square in the eyes. Ugh! How dare you! You are not allowed to hit me in the eyes! Aloe, heal me, you idiot! Komodo roared, blood dripping from his eyes. Cactus saw Aloe roll her eyes before he bowled into her, and just as he did, Aloe threw him on the ground, just like she did with Ocotillo. Oh no. Oh no. I will not be beaten by a couple of Sandwings, she said in her soothing voice. Cactus tried to get up, but she pinned him down with a smirk. You thought that you could get away trying to save your friend, she said as Cactus struggled to get up, Suddenly, she let out a roar in pain and annoyance and swiped her claws against Cactus's face. As she turned around to face her attacker, Ermin had Aloe's tail in her mouth and spat it out with disrespect. Aloe swiped a claw at Ermin, but the Icewing dodged like a seal in the water. "Come on, let's get out of here," she said, running towards the tunnel. Cactus got up and threw Aloe off of him, taking Ocotillo by the claws and ran after her. Can you fly?" Cactus asked. Ermin looked at her wings, which had silver clamps on them. "I can't." They heard an angered roar behind them, and they didn't need to look behind them to find that Komodo was after them. "Let's get out of here before that mudwing turns us into burnt sandwings," Ocotillo shouted, and for once Cactus was in agreement with him. Komodo glared after the sandwings and the prisoner that was with them a few minutes ago. This was his one chance to prove his new ally that he can be a good teammate, and those Shadow Wing scum ruined it. "I'm going to kill them," he growled under his breath, wincing as he squinted his eyes. The wound that the Sandwing left on him throbbed with pain. "Well, that was eventful," Aloe's voice said from behind him. "Yeah, but I wouldn't let that stop me from getting you to join my side. We'll get those two Sandwings and their pathetic Icewing friend," Komodo replied, angered in his voice. "Oh yeah? Well, no, you're broke." Sorry, I'm laughing at this. Oh my god. Lotus, you put that in. Okay, sorry, I'll stop. "Oh yeah? Well, no, you're broke. Get wrecked, you hybrid of a mudwing. Now, if you'll excuse me, I gotta kill some of your teammates," Aloe said, walking off. "What? You are not allowed to kill my teammates! Aloe! Come back here right now! Aloe!" Oh, wait, now, "Aloe! Come back here right now and heal my wound! Aloe! Why the name of your boa?" Komodo shouted as Aloe walked further and away from him. Okay, I will say this, guys. Some of these OCs in this story is not mine. This belongs to Lotus, and one OC is mine, and that's Aloe. Okay. Lotus, if you're watching this, I literally just laughed at this at the end. Oh god. Oh god. If I messed up some like words, I'm very sorry. Sometimes my narrating is really bad.